So I've talked to Elmira. Obviously, we've been in contact with Connie about all this, and my kind of feedback from Elmira, from you guys, is that there's, kind of consistently, there's across the board overwhelm, guilt, raise your hand, exactly, overcommitment, lack of knowledge, feeling like this is a lot, right? So I'm like, okay, great. We all are feeling those things, and we're all at very different phases in our, businesses, mission, message, all of the things. And so it makes it a little difficult to be like, okay, let's jump in here or here and like help everyone. And so part of what we're doing today is kind of what Connie just said. We're going to start big picture here, and we're just going to kind of funnel this. Oh, thanks. We're going to kind of funnel this so that you guys are feeling like you're the ones kind of steering the ship yoked with the Lord, okay? Because there's so many things, and it's all, and we're like, yeah, in case you weren't already feeling all those things, Connie's just announcing we're going to give you all of these other things that you can do to learn and to implement and to, include into, daily life. So with that, so that it's not so overwhelming, we're just going to start foundational today as far as, like I said, big picture vision for yourselves, and then just kind of some routines, rituals, rhythms that I want you guys to consider moving forward. So for 1 minute, I didn't send this out ahead of time, but I need you guys to have a piece of paper, because we're going to be like, this is a working session right here. This isn't just me talking at you. This is you actually listening and thinking for a few minutes and processing and putting this plan into place. We got a couple practical things we're going to do at the end with that. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen for just a second. And I want you, we just talked about, well, we'll get into this wins. Hold on 1 second. All right. So first thing on your paper, I want you guys to take 1 minute, and I want you to brain dump all of the stressors that are on your mind at this very moment. Those tasks, those things that you feel like are weighing on you. It can be personal, it can be professional. Go. All right, there's your time. I'm sure you could keep going and keep going, but these are the gut ones. These are the things that, like are pressing on you. These are the things I want you to consider when you're up at night or behind closed doors. If someone were to look into your business and see, like what are the things that you feel are like messy and that are the most crucial to do on your list. Okay, so we're going to get to those in a second. But this brain dump, I want you to look over it for a second. And based on the things that you have on there, I want you to put a little negative sign next to the things that maybe, imagine if you didn't actually have to be the one to do it. Could it be someone else? Go through and give yourself a little hyphen next to those tasks that you could make your kid do it, ask your husband for help, maybe even hire a VA to do. Like, what are the things that could come off of your list? All right, there's still going to be things on there, but this is a mindset and a paradigm that I want you guys to start considering, because what you guys are doing is building a business, and we don't want this to be all on you forever. And so when you start considering the time that you have and the resources and the energy and the money that you have, is it being spent wisely? Are we being wise stewards with the talents, the skills, the money, the energy, the resources that we have? Because this is what Heavenly Father is asking us to do, right? Is to be disciples, disciple thought leaders in this. And with that means we have to be good leaders in our lives. All right. So, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go through, but I want you to consider, as we move through these things, what kind of leader you're being, what kind of disciple you're being for Him, with all of these things that you have on your plate. And we all have long lists that we could just continue on and continue on. But the reality is, those little negative, those little hyphen marks means that we get to ask. We get to start seeking help. We get to start yoking with the Lord and letting Him help provide us with other means and other resources to magnify the work, to hasten and magnify the work. Okay. Next, I want you to write, just for a minute, I'm going to only show part of this. I want you guys to think big picture. Remember when you went on the retreat? Remember when you started to feel like, oh, this is who I am. This is what my message is. This is what Heavenly Father wants me to share with other people. What are you proud of? What are you proud of that you've accomplished? And what is working well in your business, in your life? And I want you to be honest about that. You're doing all this and you're still staying connected with your kids. Or I'm really amazing because I just did a 1 hour live on Facebook, which is amazing. Okay. What are you proud of? All right. So comparing that little list of all those things, and I hope it's not little, and I hope you keep adding to it, because these are the wins. These are the things that it's not about what you've done. Okay. This section isn't about what the things that you're necessarily doing. All of that is super, super important, because the things that you're doing, these should be things that you wouldn't have a hyphen. Not that you don't want to be doing, the editing of that video later or whatever. Does that make sense? But who are you being in those accomplishments is who Heavenly Father needs you to be. Okay? Who you're being by doing those things is what only you can be for this message, for this purpose, for this mission. And there's going to be dissonance and discord all the time, but especially if we're trying to do those other things that are not energy rich for us, like Connie says, that are not in our zone of genius, things like that. So I want you now to consider all those things that are on your plate or just whatever in life that are causing the overwhelm, are causing the guilt, that are your biggest stressor in your business right now. What are the biggest stressors? And let's say personally and professionally. What's the biggest pain point right now for you? Is it something that you need to learn that you don't know yet? Is it overall organization? Like, what is your pain point? If you could pinpoint your pain point, what would those issues be? On the worksheet, it said, what does it look like? And also, what does it feel like? What does it feel like? What is it bringing up for you? Be honest with yourself. All right, I want to take a pause here for a minute, and I want you guys to share. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. I want you to share your issue or your stressor or what it feels like for you. Or you can just unmute and talk because I'm not seeing anything. Oh, there we go. Here it comes. Rushed, not enough, the organization, staying consistent, doubt, being scared, feeling uncomfortable, how to do this, how to scale, how to grow. It feels like we're never going to get there or like we're behind. Imposter syndrome. How are we the expert? Am I even making a difference? Does any of this even matter? Am I doing the right things? Where do I even begin? Okay, I just want you guys to see that because those are all very, very real. Okay, like we can honor that. Yes, this is real. You're not alone. We all feel these things. And part of having the business and the systems personally and professionally is meant not to add one more thing to your plate or one more stressor. It's to help you feel like you have an outlet. It's that pressure valve release, really, that helps you know, okay, when we schedule this, we can know that we can let go of the guilt because we've also scheduled time for family. We've scheduled time for business. We've also scheduled time for family. So we can be totally present. We can be totally invested in whatever we're doing in that moment because we know that our family's going to get the time and attention they need, or that this is a season. This is just a season right now where we are all doing a whole lot of planting and fertilizing, and it really, really stinks right now with all of the learning and all of the things that we're trying to do, right? And this will pass, and we're going to have this flow. And when we have the mindset, the paradigm of the things that we're doing and the way that we're being throughout, that we have the processes in place that are going to support that ebb and flow. Okay. And the biggest thing, I can tell you a million systems and I can give you a ton of different ways of how to do things. And the reality is, they only work if we work. Like, it's not a set it and forget it in any of this, because our systems are our businesses ourselves are constantly up leveling, and we have to constantly refine and reassess and re-implement and maintain the systems that we do have. So I wish it was one and done, but the reality is we have to schedule in that assessment time. We have to have a plan in place that is going to support the scaling, all the feels, and the growth of what we're trying to accomplish here. So yes, artist in her trees. Oh, yes, I love it. Okay, so at the end of the day, what we get to really, really consider is, what do we want? What do we want? How do we know that we're being successful? How do we know that we're accomplishing what we're supposed to accomplish with the Lord? And so I want you to take another minute and I want you to write down what it is that you want. If you had no restrictions on time, money, energy, all those things, what would you say? What I want is, do you want a personal assistant? Do you want a personal chef? What do you want? You get to write whatever it is that you want. What will your business look like? What will your metrics be? Is it followers? Is it how many people you've served? Does your business look like you get to go on vacation? And how often? Who do you want to be? What role do you want to play in your business? What do you want to do? What do you want to be able to do professionally and personally? What do you want to have? Have to show for it. This is your why. All of this is your why. Why you're going to keep doing this even when it's hard, even when you're tired, even when it's stressful. Because who you're becoming and all the things that you're doing and what you're going to have at the end of this, if there's an end, there's not. It's right now. It's every day. It's in the process. This is why, these are all the things why we're doing this. Okay, you guys are doing awesome. I know that's a lot. It's a lot to be like, wait, to think through this. And I would encourage you to create time that you revisit this, that you remember your why, that you focus on this and give yourself time to assess. And we do this every Wednesday with the wins, where we take a moment and go, yeah, like this is pretty amazing what we're doing. And even if it feels like baby steps and just one little notch at a time in the whole gear of things, that you get to acknowledge that, and you get to recognize that you are becoming the leaders that Heavenly Father wants us to be, that we are becoming his disciples as we stay focused and as we just stay consistent and continue in this path and process. All right. With that being said, we're going to run through. I'm just going to show this to you, and this is something that I can send to you and have Elmira send out or whatever. But this is something that I use personally, and I'll give it to my clients just because I feel like this is a one sheet to help you focus, to help you keep your eye on the prize. And what this is this funneling of what the plan actually gets to look like in the day-to-day. So I know we do our weekly goals with Elmira. How many of you like write those down and put them in your face and like look at them every day during the week? So no, which I did find, in case you didn't know, there is a little button that you can click so that it can be emailed to you, which then you can print out, FYI, so that you can save that little Google Doc and have it and print it out and look at it every day. But for me, this is how I kind of keep myself in check. This is my, it's just my one sheet that I look at this. This is what pretty much stays on my desk all the time. So if you look at the big pick, the first box is that 3-year target, this 3-year target. So when I say, what do you want? And we put that timeline on there in 3 years, again, how are you going to know that you're successful? What do you know? What do you see about your business? What have you done in your business? And again, this could be money. This could be people that you've served. This could be any number of things that are going to help you be able to know if you're on track. In 3 years, what do you want this to feel like? Do you want to have a team of people? Do you want to have, be doing a retreat at that point? Like whatever you might think, that 3-year target, it's important to put some of those benchmarks, those markers on there, because those become your bearings to go, okay, we're heading for due north. We're heading for that 3-year target. We're still on track for that. Okay. And I look at this, and obviously things come up, opportunities arise, possibilities come and change. And so what we want to do is, once we figure that out, that we make sure that they're in alignment. It's really exciting to get this opportunity to pop up. And yet, if that's going to take you away from what you and the Lord have already agreed that is the plan, right? That helps you just kind of see that and make sure that it's in alignment with that target. The next goal over. So this time I'm going to go left to right, but the annual goals, this is where we start breaking it down. We have a lot of benchmarks for you guys, for all of us in this DTLC, where there are things that some of us have never even put into place. And those things are going to come in this business in the box with the social marketing and things like that. And then the actual business setup stuff. Those are coming. You guys are already starting and working on those things. But there's a lot of annual goals, and we're going to lay that out and help you kind of see that. But again, what's your gut say? At the end of this year, what do you want to have? You sign up for DTL. What do you want to have to show for it at the end of this 1 year? And personally, for me, I do this for the year. Sometimes you can do it like the fiscal year, especially if you're a teacher, and your years can start whenever. But your annual goal, if you don't define it, your year's going to come and go, and you're going to be filled with a lot of distractions and a lot of all those things that we talked about, right? And you might not have anything to show for it. So what's your annual goal? This for the purposes of here is, what's your one big message? What's your one big vehicle? Your one big vehicle better be in that box if it's not already. For some of us, that's a podcast, the retreat, whatever it is for you personally, okay? And artists, like the garden, like that is her thing, okay? And then we break it down further to the quarterly rocks, okay? For us right now, we're in May already. It's crazy, right? But here we are in this second quarter of the year. And for quarterly rocks, you only want 3 to 5 quarterly rocks. And these are kind of your focus for this quarter, again, that you want to have to show for it at the end. And for some of us, that is getting our opt-in, getting our newsletter in place, and clarifying on content for our one big thing. All right. Those are 3 big quarterly rocks that, like, those are where your attention is really focused on this quarter. For some of you, you already have some of those things in place, and it's okay. I'm making connection. Connection is a big quarterly rock. So I'm doing a social outreach. I'm doing networking, whatever. So just consider what your main intention is for this quarter. Then we break it down even further. We go monthly projects. Okay, great. You have 3 months. It's already May. So for May and June, what project are you specifically working on? You take those quarterly rocks and you break them out. Okay, you have three projects, or excuse me, three rocks. And how does that fit into this month, next month, and the next month? What becomes the project? Is it an event that you're going to go to? NSA, right? Speaking associate. Like, you guys are going to have this, that could be a project this month where you're going to go, okay, what's my one sheet? Do I have my, social presence just so that I can connect with people and send them somewhere? Whatever that, I'm just trying to give you an example, but you get to decide what your monthly projects are. And you might have, again, several of those, 2 to 3 projects for this month. Okay, raise your hand if you feel like you know what your project of the month is. Raise your hand. All right, that's about half. Good. That's good. And that's okay if you don't. But when you can define it and when you can clarify, and even if it's one, this is my one big project for this month, write it down, because again, this helps you stay in alignment when all of the other things come up and life happens. All right. These last 2 boxes, your ideal week and your daily rituals. And we're going to get more into depth in those for the next 5 minutes before we break out. Your ideal week. I know Janae at one point on here shared that she had a schedule. Monday I do this and I commit to my business. Tuesday I do this. Wednesday I do this. Thursday I try to do this, right? So do you have kind of an ideal week for your schedule, for your life? Okay. I literally leave my house to go to an office so that I can work, and I leave and I go Mondays and Wednesdays. So those are the days that I schedule my meetings. Thursday's the day that I schedule my errands with my family. All right. So just consider, if you haven't already, this is a system that you need to put in place to lead your life, to lead your personal and your professional life. What would your ideal week be? Do you have one day that you run errands? One day that you consistently make appointments with the kids or whatever? How are you honoring your schedule so that it's not just whatever happens to be the fire of the day gets you hijacked? Because we've all been there. And it's still going to happen even with a schedule. But when you start to honor that and people say, hey, are you available for lunch? Like, oh, actually, I'm not that day, but I could do it this day, because you have put in time and you're holding and honoring that schedule. Okay. This is when we start to learn to say no, and we'll get to that later. All right. Daily rituals. This is, we're going to talk a little bit more about rituals. But morning and evening routines, things like that. Okay. So here's a whole lot of information that we don't have time to get all into, but I want to run through this column and then we'll run through this column. Rhythms, like we said, there are going to be seasons for all of these things, ladies. Our lives are seasonal. If we learn nothing else from Connie, we learn from nature, right? And so you need to consider the season that you're in. This might not be the season that you're like digging in and building your business because you have health concerns or you have other personal things going on with your kids or missionaries or weddings, whatever it is, all right? So consider your season. When you're planning your quarterly rocks, consider your season. I have a 10-year calendar. So like, I literally am like, okay, in 10 years, these are going to be the main things that are happening in my life. And so when I reverse engineer, I'm like, yeah, that's going to be the year that we want to go on vacation because we're going to be losing our oldest kid the next year, right? So the seasons, consider when you plan your quarterly rocks. And then monthly, what are the big things that are going to be happening? School, graduations. I saw Wendy posted like, hold on, it's May. We're all holding on for dear life because May feels like it's all of these like whirlwind of things happening. Okay. So what's going on monthly? Consider that when you're planning your projects. You have to consider that when you're planning your projects, because otherwise we're setting ourselves up, and we don't want to do that in a negative way. We want to set ourselves up for success. And then week to week, again, even within the month, and this is a whole nother topic that we don't have time to get into, but even within the month, we have a cycle literally within ourselves. Heidi could probably talk about this, but our family, like, we have weeks where we are really, really productive and weeks where we have to like just be reflective. Okay. So pay attention to that when you are scheduling your life. All right. And honor that. Again, weekly schedule we just talked about, and then time block days. Time block days, this is when you have your day and you go, okay, this is the day that I'm going to do this. But in a perfect world, I would love to live hour by hour, because that's just how I am. But the reality is I have 6 very huge distractions in my life. No, they're my biggest blessings, but life happens, right? So we do blocks of time. We have the few things that we hope we're going to get to today. All right. And then we can be successful, because even if I got like one big thing, what's my one big thing every day? Then it was a win, right? So give yourself grace, set yourself up for success with your own expectations. All right, running through this, routines. People ask, okay, where do we start with systems? Systems start with your routines. And this is where your leadership, your individual commitment, and to yourself, to others, but especially to yourself, and being in integrity matter. Being in integrity with yourself matters, okay? When you say you're gonna get up a certain time, do you? I hope it's only earlier because your kid woke you up, right? Not that you hit the snooze button, all right? And I'm saying this with all the love in my heart, and this is a constant struggle for all of us. But morning routines, bedtime routines. Do you have a routine for a meal plan? Okay, this is life, and we all have to eat. So if we're not taking these things into consideration, it's going to affect our businesses negatively, our energy, our availability negatively. So these are great places. If you don't have a meal plan already, consider setting this up. And based on your issues and the things that you guys wrote earlier, this is where you guys might want to consider focusing, okay? Oh, I'm missing my chat. So sorry about it. Hold, please. It's not showing up. Oh, there we go. Yay! Okay, Connie said she's gonna get this and send it out. But same with cleaning, same with laundry. We all have to have, like, for some reason, laundry is like the never-ending struggle of life. Not really, maybe not for you guys, but for me, I have too many people in my house. Decluttering. Do you have a regularly scheduled time for decluttering? Is it once a month that you are cleaning out the garage, resetting the house, whatever? And it sounds like it might seem silly to schedule that, but if you look in this little remember box, it's not a priority until it's scheduled. And if we don't make time for it, it won't happen, or we'll find ourselves playing catch up. And that's just a stressful, unnecessary place to be if we can be proactive about it. All right, self-care, huge. I have time in my calendar, and I have it colored in pink so that I make sure that I honor that, oh, this is a self-care thing that I'm doing for myself. If you don't have a pink thing in your schedule, you have to add that, all right? Whatever it is, it can be going on a walk by yourself in peace and quiet. Not saying that's, not mine, but it really is sometimes. Let alone the fancy things, frilly things, whatever. Reflection time. This is huge. Do you have reflection time scheduled in your calendar? Couples council, family councils, team meetings. These are routines that I love when I meet with businesses and they don't have a regularly scheduled team meeting on the same day and the same time every week. You cannot run a business efficiently if you don't know that there's going to be that place and time for the members of the team, whether it's your family, buy-in with your kids, all of that. If they don't know that they're going to have a time and space that is honored and present for them, to be able to express the concerns, to be able to assess the progress, the process, issues that are coming up, things like that, okay? Oh, I'm just seeing your DoorDash. Yeah, Lindsay, that works. Anyway, we are gonna do a breakout, and I want you to just consider when we go into this breakout, which routine, maybe share what routine that you have that's working. Tell us what's working for you so that we can learn from each other. The last of these couple of things, these rituals, physical, these are literally the same ones as the church. as the youth program. Do you guys notice that? Physical health, mental health, spiritual renewal, social connections. These are rituals, and I use that word intentionally, and we don't have time to go into it, but rituals, sacred, honored, planned, and respected times, all right? That again, need to be in the schedule. All right, this refinement is kind of this reflection time. Feedback, this is again, where we get from the councils. This is from our customers, depending on the services that we offer. Refinement is huge so that we continue to refine our systems and make sure that they're hanging and that they're working, okay? And with that, how to say no, how to prioritize, how to stretch, how to audit, how to implement, how to maintain. Okay, those all come through that refinement. When we have so many roles, personally and professionally, and we'll get into more of these in part 2, but each of these, as we document our systems, as we start to create these procedural things, the sooner that we can scale, the sooner that we can bring in team members to help us. Even if that's buy-in from our kids, if we can document the things, okay, this is how we do laundry, like this is the chore chart, whatever that is. Having those roles and those responsibilities, one of my biggest questions is who takes out the trash? Who takes out the trash in your business and in your home? Who does it and when do they do it? Who's cleaning up, and by trash, it's in your business, it's your files. Who's cleaning out the financials? Who's literally taking out the trash? Like someone has to do it. And unless and until we've figured that out and given time, with a document that says this is who's doing it and this is when it's supposed to be done, it doesn't get done, or it's more stressful. We get emotional, and it doesn't have to be. Okay, this last little section. Remember, we talked about this way at the retreat. We all have systems. You all have them. Are they by default or by design? Are you being intentional, or is life just happening? It's not a priority until it's scheduled. What you expect, you must inspect. And we'll get more into this later, but again, this even goes with our kids. This even goes with ourselves when we have a checklist. What we expect, we have to inspect. And then again, this all needs to be as simple as possible, documented and understood by all, which means the team's got to be in. That's your family, that's your VA, that's whomever that is. Everyone needs to understand what the big vision is and understand their contribution to that, and have the same vision. And again, assess, implement, maintain. All these systems have to be maintained. Okay, we're gonna break out for the next 20 minutes. Consider what routines you do have working that you might be able to share, or the other way, which ones do you need help with more specifically? What would be a game changer for you? If you could figure out, if you could implement right away, what would be a game changer for you personally that would relieve more space for you professionally? Or the other way around, so that we can help each other and coach each other through that.